Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Okay, great. I can edit all that out. Welcome to Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Goodger.
There was like a weird pause there between my first and last name.
I mean, you don't have a middle name, so it's accurate.
I don't, and I'm sure I've talked about that on the podcast before because it's one of the great disappointments of my life that my dad is that sexist.
I've decided that Emily's middle initial is T.
Every friend that I've ever had has pretty much decided on a middle name for me at some point or another.
Okay, well, you should be able
Thaddeus
to pick.
has been Sally's pick.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah,
You don't have to have a middle name, though.
I mean, it's like I don't really feel its loss until someone is like, what's your middle name? And I'm like, I have none. Because Christopher Todd Jushaw.
Your middle name could be Todd after your father.
No, I don't want to name myself after my father, after what he's done to me. This is a melancholy start to this episode.
Melancholy Culkin. From Home Alone.
Oh, man.
Now Tybalt has to eat.
Yeah, of course.
Which is
I
a little
haven't
less
seen Home
invasive.
Alone literally in 2 decades.
Hey, you're never gonna guess, but I've never seen Home Alone.
Well, I saw Home Alone once, sort of, but I've never been able to watch it again because I know there's a big spider in it.
Oh, yeah.
So I stick with Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which does at least have the advantage of having that cool pigeon lady. And no spiders. I'll take pigeons over spiders any day.
I mean, I saw a lot more pigeons in New York than I saw spiders.
Yeah, me too, actually. I don't, like, keep a memory bank of all my spider encounters, but I don't recall.
The year I lived with you, we didn't have many spiders. We had some other weird bugs.
Oh yeah, New York is full of weird non-spider bugs.
Yeah.
And, other vermin. Mice. So many mice. No, 2 not very exciting chapters, I'm sorry to announce. Not much in my brain to talk about. It's, back to Randall Thor.
Back to Randall.
Back to Randall himself, the Dragon Reborn, as he and his posse, like it's some kind of old western.
Outlaws.
Yeah, get to the pass that will take them through the mountains, the spine of the world, to Kyrian, called Jenga Pass. Jenga Pass. God, if only. You have to get through it, you have to play Jenga. It's like a puzzle in a video game.
But like huge Jenga.
But like big Jenga.
Like one of the mountains is just a huge set of Jenga.
Imagine if the mountains were just Jenga, like a Jenga tower that had fallen.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That would have been so cool.
Obviously, they have Matt with them, so they do great. Because he pulled a one.
He's got
big Jenga.
A plus 18 to sleight of hand. I had that for a while.
That's nice.
RIP.
What happened to it?
Oh, I just had to give out the magic item that gave me plus 5, so now I only have plus 13 sleight of hand, which is still...
You'll be fine.
I know.
Shut up. Jesus Christ.
Rogues are good at 2 things. That's it. Everything else I'm terrible at.
So they show up and there's like a little kind of like fort outpost, like a tiny little, kind of like a little western town.
Yeah, but it's Kyrian, and it's not the ale, like, built into the cliffside, kind of.
Yeah, and as they kind of come up to it, this whole traveling thing, there's, like, nobody in sight except a bunch of dead bodies that have been hung on the outside.
Strung up on the walls.
Yeah, and eventually, like, 3 representatives from the town come out and are like, we're so happy you're here, my lord, to Rand, who isn't dressed like an ailman, of course. So.
Yeah, conveniently, the people they come upon are Rand, Lan, Moiraine, and Mat, the quote-unquote
ale
Westerners in the bunch.
Yeah, our white folks.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, sweet, we're safe, and are like, oh my god, you would not believe the atrocities that the, quote, insert racist epithet here, ale inflicted upon us. And, it's not really, like, shocking. We, as readers, sort of expected Couladin to do terrible things wherever he went. This is just sort of the prelude to what is going to follow in Kyrian, which Rand explicitly says. He's like, if it's this bad here, then it's going to be worse in Kyrian. And it is Couladin also explicitly leaving a message for Rand, because he tells that to the remaining townsfolk, like, hey, this is for a guy who's going to come after me.
Mm-hmm. He's got tattoos like me.
Yeah, because one of the dudes sees Rand's fancy belt buckle that I'm assuming he never takes off even to sleep or bathe anymore.
Gross. Because
he loves Avienda so much. And is like, oh yeah, he had tattoos like that. Dragons. So it's like, yeah, got all that. Couladin's
a war criminal.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, I just... yeah.
They, the people are like, they took many of the young, healthy people captive, stripped them in the street, and to make them Guy Shane. Although, I don't think the people explicitly know that's what it is.
Yeah.
And Rand is like, oh, that's weird. And says to Ruark, did you hear that part? As Ruark comes up, terrifying the townsfolk. Because, racism.
Yeah.
But Ruark's, like, uncomfy with the topic.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he shouldn't be doing that. And Mat is like, you expected him to not do...
I know.
...bad things, given what we have seen previously?
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad that people have, like, a healthy sense of horror at it, but Matt's the only one who's like, yeah, he's a bad fucking guy.
Yeah.
Like, we should have been not prepared to be okay with it, but, like, prepared for this.
Yeah, Ruark is like, essentially Ruark's like, it's not just a war crime, it's the fact that he's betraying everything about his culture, which brings up an interesting dynamic to the, I don't know how to say this, war crimes are often committed not by individuals, but by groups of individuals in the name of cultures and races, religions, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that you would prioritize your patriotism or cultural allegiances or religious beliefs over your humanity is sort of intrinsic to war crimes, I think, in a lot of ways.
Often what we think of as war crimes are, like, often what we put in those, under that kind of definition are identity-based persecutions, genocide, mass rapes, mass killings, bombing, chemical warfare. Those types of things usually happen along, like, national lines, racial lines, tribal lines, religious lines, etc., etc. So... yeah, so it is kind of antithetical. It's just very interesting, that he's going against.
Yeah, this isn't something he's doing, or there's been such a breakage within the ale. Like, this is sort of indicative, I guess, although I don't think it's done very well, but this is sort of indicative of how the ale lines have split down the middle.
Yeah.
Obviously, the issue of the Guy Shane is going to continue into the later books. Ruark tells us, Guy Shane, this, like, cultural thing of if you're taken captive in battle in a certain way, then you just provide service for a year and a day or whatever it is, and then everyone just goes about their business.
Yeah, it's like it didn't even happen.
He's like, but that's only if you are part of, you know, the racial structure, the culture. To take an outsider into that and force them into it is literally just chattel slavery.
Yeah. Yeah, and so so we've got the division between the people who are still following the old Ale honor code, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce. Giotto. Perfect.
I don't know.
No, that sounds great to me. And so, because Ruark and the other clan chief who come up are like, he's broken our honor code in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Couladin, who's attempting to form a new Ale identity, and that's happening through these various atrocities that he's committing, because often, like, war and warfare are great ways to build camaraderie among people, unfortunately.
Yeah. The more crimes you commit together, the more you're likely to stick with each other. I don't know. It's like he's trying to render a new honor code via violence.
Yeah.
Which, violence is often the way that we cement relationships. Welcome to hazing and fraternities, etc.
And sororities.
Yes.
Usually not as violent, but it still happens.
I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's a really complicated issue, and it is, like, Matt is being the valid person here saying we should have anticipated this, because he doesn't say this, but, you know, underlying is the idea that Rand did something unprecedented in the last book, and people have been reacting in unprecedented ways. So the idea that someone might break this fully from the honor code is sort of obvious.
Yeah, and it's like, it's very interesting to have Matt paired up with the particular cast of characters who also show up, like Rand, Moiraine, Lan, Ruark, and the other clan chief. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, homeboy.
It's like D-Rick or something.
Yeah. But it's like this particular group of people, all 5 or 6 of them, is really bound to an honor code of some sort.
Yeah. Or
another, or some sort of, like, I don't know, personal mission or something.
Some code of chivalry or however it is.
That impacts, like, literally every single one of their decisions. And, like, Matt, who, as we've talked about, is a character who's really adheres to his, like, own personal moral symbols, like moral compass, is also the character we see moving most deftly through, like, changes in society. So it is very interesting to have him be the one who's like, yes, of course there are changes happening, whereas these other characters are like, this is literally, like, breaking my mind, the idea that somebody could just throw their code of conduct away.
Yeah, Matt is, as always, sort of the most interesting person to look at.
Yeah.
When we have scenes that aren't even from his point of view. Especially because he is, in these couple of chapters, through Rand's point of view, starting to become othered in Rand's mind in interesting ways. Rand starts noticing. He's like, oh, I've always kind of noticed that Matt has been a little bit different post-Ruidaean, and he's made notes of it in the last book, but here he sort of starts seeing the patterns, I guess, in a way. He points out that Matt, what does he call him? He says he's always been an indifferent rider, which I think is a really interesting way to say that he can sit on a horse and he's fine at it, but not stellar.
Not great,
But when he's not thinking about it, he's suddenly spectacular.
Yeah.
And when these townspeople first sort of come up to their group, Matt's the one who says, well, why didn't you have sentries? Did you not have sentries? You're technically in enemy territory here. Which everyone reacts to like it's this big revolutionary statement.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of funny.
Yeah, Lan is like,
Lan's
what?
Like, oh my god. And it's like, I too would wonder.
Yeah, it's like, it's a gradual introduction to, like, the later scene where Matt just, like, perfectly plans out a battle while he's, like, half distracted. Because he's a little ADHD poster child.
Yeah.
But it is funny because it's like that should be literally all of these men are of some sort of military bent. And even Moiraine, they should be, like, watchmen?
Yeah, where were the sentries?
Yeah. But in a way it is sort of nice to think about like, a society where they're, like, not overly concerned. Like, they feel
Yeah.
safe enough, even in enemy territory.
I mean, yeah, that would be great. But I guess...
Obviously not the case.
Yeah, I guess I've spent so much time with military-minded Matt that I've forgotten that until this point he has literally been outside the boundaries of almost all military encounters. Mm-hmm. The closest he got was in Falm when he blew the horn of Valir.
What a legend.
Which I don't even think we saw him fighting in that. He just sort of
blows the horn
blows
and,
the horn of
passes
Valir.
Out.
Yeah.
Or some shit.
Does whatever he does.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I would say he kind of maybe doesn't have the experience to sort of apply rational questions like that, but then again, he has also traveled with the fucking Shianaran army to across the continent and sort of got used to men making observations like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like kind of, it's funny how drastically people react, where it like it's kind of unusual for Matt to be like kind of voice really any opinion other than just whatever nonsense.
To be assertively the voice of reason.
Yeah, like, it's just not really his normal shtick, but it's not like he says, like, very complex military terms.
Yeah. It's not like he was like, and now how exactly did they do that? Did they flank you on the, you know, like...
Did they attack?
Did they use a phalanx formation or something like that?
Yeah.
He's just like, so were people watching or what?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my god.
He's a genius.
He's like a child prodigy. Lan, I like to think, I want to film this scene from Lan's point of view. Or maybe the next one, you know, where he's in the tent talking to Lan. And I want to, like, have Matt's voice just kind of fade into the background and, like, zoom in on Lan's face and have his internal monologue be like, maybe I chose the wrong boy to mentor.
He's like, I'm really regretting my choices.
Like, oh no, I did the wrong thing.
Yeah, but thank God Lan does not get his weird morals
misogynistic mitts on Matt, yeah.
Matt's just like, capering away.
It's like, I'm just here with Tom.
Yeah. Barf, I don't like Tom anymore.
Yeah, we're not big fans of Tom anymore, but, you know.
It's okay, he gets other people. Brigitte.
I was about to say it's interesting that Tom is most outside the quote-unquote palatable sexual boundaries, and so is Matt amongst the three boys, and that he isn't, you know, he doesn't just find a girl and marry her right off the bat.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but Lan is also a, 50-something-year-old dating Nynaeve who's twice half his age.
Yeah, it is barf o'clock. Yeah, everyone who, like... I feel like this is dangerous territory because everyone loves Lan and Nynaeve, but everyone who is, like, into that relationship should take a harder look at that one.
Yeah, it's not a great one.
I just think that women shouldn't have to date men super older than them.
Yeah. I'm, like, all for... It's the classic conundrum. I am all for female agency, but I think that agency is being impacted by forces outside of the woman coming in. Patriarchal forces.
Yeah, it's like we talked about with Elaine. It's like your desires do not exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Like, you are, and, like, the way that your sexuality is shaped is so much shaped by your culture.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, you can't just, like, it'd be great if that wasn't true.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's it. Every time I think about things like this, I'm reminded of how when I was in high school, many of my friends dated men who were outside of their teens, and I am now troubled by that and angry that I wasn't necessarily troubled by it as a teen.
Yeah, it's just like... I was thinking today, not in quite the same context, but something about, I can't even remember the author. Some, like, dude bro author came up in something that I was reading, and I remember very vividly this, like, boy in my English student advisory in college who's like, this is my favorite author because he's so philosophic. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I remember being like, well, he's the only cute boy in English student advisory, so I will, like, continue to talk to him. And it's just, like, fascinating the way that, like, the female mind is shaped to view what is accessible to them sexually. It was just like, it's not a completely coherent thought. Yeah, but I just remember that, and I was like, barf at sophomore year Sally or whatever.
I know, yeah, as a 26-year-old, I don't really have any of the patience for things that I had patience for.
Yeah, I know.
As a
And
much
then
younger person.
think about the way that, yeah, it's just like, yeah. It's one of the nice things about getting older is that my, like, tolerance for bullshit is really decreasing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that. Just because, like, I had, like, it's a huge problem of mine, particularly with, like, men and, like, appeasing men's fucking nonsense, which women are trained to do from literally infancy. It's like, behave for your dad while mom goes out to the car.
Well, Mom leaves for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Have I...
Uh-oh.
There's a really good piece of Jusha family lore that my dad...
Uh-oh.
I don't remember. I don't know if I was there. This all comes from Anne, my younger sister. She's younger by 3 years. So she claims...
This story.
Yeah, she claims when she was really young, I don't know, like kindergarten, first grade age, 6 or 7, she was with my dad at our house. I don't know where the rest of us were. My mom was definitely out, though. And I assume Sarah and I were also, because otherwise this would have gone back to us. But he was, like, eating tortilla chips and got a chip, like, lodged in his throat or something. So he's, like, not choking, but he kind of lays down and says to Anne, I'm going to take a nap, but if I stop breathing... He tells her how to call 911 and, like, writes down our address for her.
For a kindergartner? Could she even read?
She might have been a little older than that. Every story Anne tells about herself,
Yeah.
she sounds a little bit younger than she probably actually was because...
It's Anne.
It's Anne.
Yeah. And then I found $5.
I found $5.
Oh, Chris, I was gonna go to sleep
Yeah.
and leave my 5, 6, 7 year
If I
old.
stop breathing.
For fuck's sake, Chris. Jesus Christ.
He's like, that did not happen. And Anne's like, stop gaslighting me.
Yeah.
I know it happened.
I have heard Anne tell this story, and it is,
Yeah.
like, yeah, Chris, the details are the same every time.
Yeah, she tells it. And, I mean, we all have stories like that. My dad and mom claim that they did not happen, but...
Oh, yeah, parents
Classic
are like,
gaslighting.
no, I never did anything wrong. I'm a
I've never done
perfect
anything
parent.
wrong in my life.
And you're like, it's okay, everyone's just, like, trying their best.
I'm like, I'm not calling child
Yeah.
services on you, Dad. I'm telling a funny story at dinner
You can't call child line
about your parenting. Yeah, you can't call child line.
every time your mom threatens to kill you.
Classic Dairy Girls quote.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like every parent makes those mistakes.
Yeah.
It's just people trying their best. But like, as a child, it is your God-given right to mock them for it.
Yeah. Whatever we were talking about. Anyway. So, Rand and company are like, alright, we're camping here for the night.
Bury the bodies.
Please bury the bodies. Yeah, let's take down the dead. The Ale are just like shooting the
But
birds of prey. that are
also, if I could make a comment about the birds of prey.
there. Yeah. Are they carry-on birds or
Yeah.
birds of prey? What's the
They're carry-on birds. Birds of prey are like raptors, which is hawks, owls, eagles, falcons, all those things. Carry-on birds are birds that eat things that are already dead. So birds of prey actively hunt. Carrion birds eat things that are already dead. So like vultures and ravens in this case are two carrion birds. And it would actually probably be better for the ecosystem if they let the carrion birds eat the people rather than burying them in the dirt, because like the whole purpose, particularly, not the whole purpose, but a function of vultures in ecosystems is to be like the natural cleanup crew, because a vulture's stomach can digest all sorts of like diseases, such as like, I think Ebola might be one of them, and like they can digest anthrax. They've just got like amazing stomach acid. So when they eat all of these things that might be living in the corpses, they prevent them from going into like the watershed or the earth and then coming up with the plants. So though it smells nasty, it would probably be healthier if they just let the people get eaten. I know that's a little morbid.
Do ravens even belong in this particular ecosystem?
I don't think so. I don't think ravens live in the desert.
Like, by all rights, it should be vultures, right?
Yeah, it should be vultures.
I mean, of course, they're like, we're shooting the ravens because they are spies of the Dark One.
Yeah.
Which I think is a mean discrimination against.
Yeah, no, I was literally like,
carrion
I'm
birds.
gonna have a conversation about vultures, but I don't want to be a freak who's like, be better to vultures, Robert Jordan. But here I am being a freak who's like, be better to vultures, Robert Jordan. Where do ravens live? Wikipedia, tell me.
Temperate climates, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, the northern hemisphere, where there is some deserts.
Yeah, but you don't really see them in the deserts. You see them in the
You see them
continental regions.
Yeah, mostly forests and like urban areas. Distribution and habitat. Temperate habitats.
Haha, I knew the word temperate because of all of the reading about geography and regions I have to do for my job, which is written, just so kindergartners can understand.
Most common ravens prefer wooded areas with large expanses of open land nearby or coastal regions for their nesting sites and feeding grounds.
So this is a flock of ravens that got really...
Yeah, and of course there is the concept in the Wheel of Time that these ravens are not just ravens, they are something evil and
I just like to think that there was this flock of ravens out here and they elected a leader, or ravens, do government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
And they're all obviously evil, but the one they elected leader is not, just because luck of the draw. And he's just like, a himbo raven. He's like, just doing his thing. And then he veers them toward the desert, and all the evil ravens are like, oh, sweet, something must be going on here. But he gets there, and he's like, where the fuck are the trees?
This is not what I took a wrong turn somewhere.
This quote the raven. I got lost.
There was a huge-ass fucking raven in our parking lot today when I was driving home. Yeah, ravens are big. They're like this big. You guys can't see this, but Emily's getting an excellent visual.
It's like torso size.
They're big. They're like really, and they're like hefty.
Makes me think about in the Raven Boys how he has.
Yeah, like Chainsaw is fucking gigantic, just like on his shoulder. Like they're not like dainty little birds. They are like.
Sarah, my sister, texts me every once in a while just to remind me of that scene in the Raven cycle where Ronan is like, "I'm leaving Chainsaw at home because I don't want her to learn any bad language."
Yeah.
When I'm meeting up with this creepy Russian mobster.
Kavinsky's a good character, though.
Kavinsky's a great character.
Yeah, because ravens can mimic human speech.
Yeah.
That is a bird fact that my niece learned this week for Urban Bird Bingo and texted it. I mean, her mom texted it to me. Liz can't type or read yet. One day, though.
One day,
Mom. And then the world will go up in flames.
Will truly know her wrath.
So anyway, there's your bird sidebar, but vultures are really amazing birds. The carrion crew, as they're fondly referred to at the aviary, are really excellent creatures, and they've often been persecuted because of, like, prevailing attitudes such as this, that they are dirty, that they are evil. So a lot of them are struggling. Like, there was a type of vulture that lived in India that's pretty much extinct because they thought they were evil and bad.
It's sad.
So anyway, Robert Jordan hates vultures. Pass it along. Hashtag Vulture Hate. Stop Vulture Hate 2K20.
Hashtag Vulture Hate.
No, hashtag Stop Vulture Hate. This chapter is evidence of hashtag Vulture Hate.
So, they go on. They're setting up camp. Rand is making his way to his campsite. Again, he sees Matt crouched there surveying the landscape, and he's like, Matt is getting real weird these days.
It's like, you're one to fucking talk, but...
Matt's girlfriend, Melindra, is off sort of surveying Matt
as
he surveys the landscape.
Like, what is my boyfriend doing?
She's like, what the fuck? And Rand's like, this is just a whole weird relationship. I don't know what to do with it, or why the maidens keep bringing up that she's gonna teach Matt how to sing.
Yeah.
Which, for a while, before I remembered that there was an explanation for what that means at the end of this chapter, I was, like, trying to parse what, like, sex thing that could mean.
Me too. I was like, does it mean getting pegged?
Exactly! I was like, it can only mean pegging.
Literally, that's That's why I thought today. And because I also forgot that, like, 3 pages later, Avienda's like, no, it's this complicated bullshit thing about
Avienda's like, it's this
masculinity.
cultural thing. And I'm like, all right, but I'm going to delete that and accept that it means getting bagged.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I say, good for you.
Yeah. Destigmatize butt stuff 2020.
Hashtag Vulture Hate. Hashtag destigmatize butt stuff.
Those are my 2 platforms. Elect me to the presidency.
I'll be running for governor on the dual platforms. Vulture Hate and destigmatize butt stuff.
I would do so good in Utah, a state that hates gay people and loves guns.
And probably hates vultures, too. Just because Utah. Rand goes up to his tent, you know, has some little side comments about various characters. As they were riding in, Moiraine was lecturing him about politics and Kyrian, and Rand was like, I'm busy right now. Their relationship has progressed to at least being polite to each other. Yeah. Although I don't know if we can call it really progression, since Rand is still exercising his newfound authority a little too grossly.
Liberally.
Yeah.
He also talks to Asmodean briefly.
Yeah, on his way up, as he's surveying Melindra, surveying Matt, surveying the landscape, Asmodean comes up and is like, I wish you wouldn't make me carry your banner. And Rand does some, like, pun about how Asmodean was one of the chosen, quote unquote. And Asmodean's like, okay, well, you don't have to be rude about it. And Rand's like, look, there's no one else to carry the goddamn banner. It's just you, my guy. You're the only one who's technically important enough to be in my train, but also, I don't like you, so this is where we're at. There's also, oddly, up at the, Rand notes that near the snow line in these mountains that they've come across, which I'm imagining a bit like the Rocky Mountains in terms of height, Rand says he can see this, like, little structure hanging out that looks like ruins, including sort of a jutting out, like, dock. And he's like, oh, that's weird. It must be from before the time of the breaking, and perhaps there was, like, some sort of port town up there, and the Ale Waste itself used to be the bed of an ocean. Which is relatable to us because we're from Utah, which was once the bed of a sea.
Yeah, like Bonneville, baby.
Like Bonneville. But is now a vast desert.
Yeah,
with
big mountains on
yeah, with the big
sides.
mountains. So Ale Waste is Utah. Heard it here, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I do maintain they should film these scenes in the Red Rock of southern Utah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like, film it down in Moab.
But Rand asks Asmodean about that. He's like, what do you know what that is? And Asmodean's like, listen, I don't know jack about this fucking place's geography. For all I know, it was where I grew up.
Baby Asmodean.
Baby Asmodean. Just, you know, making up little tunes and plucking the wings off flies, I imagine. Sociopath.
His 2 favorite things.
His 2 favorite things.
And would play the harp with the fly's wings.
He'd play he'd use them as a guitar pick.
Yeah. And just, like, rock the fuck out.
And everyone would be like, oh, you're so creepy, but so good at music.
Yeah, he invented the electric guitar.
And he'd be like, that's because I'm a rock star, baby. Sid Vicious. No, he's not a Sid Vicious type. He was, you know, a partier. Hard drugs.
I don't think Asmodean parties.
No.
Which one of the Forsaken parties? Grendel, obviously.
Grendel, obviously. And, Robin, I guess.
Gross.
Exactly.
Grendel does the, like, at least kind of fun partying. Robin does the, like, gross frat boy partying.
Asmodean would be at the party, but just to, like, play his guitar.
Yeah, he's the DJ at the party.
Yeah.
He really doesn't want to be there, but he needs the cash to buy his textbooks.
Uh-huh. I can't remember any of the other male Forsaken. There's that one who's really horny, I guess, who's dead now, but he won't be for long. Balthamel. For all we know, Bella liked to party.
It's true.
But we'll never know. Sadly, we'll never get to know Bella because he was balefire so immediately by Moiraine.
Yeah, Moiraine's like, no!
The great tragedy of my life that I never got to uncover Bellal's personality. Yeah. For all we know, he was a legend.
Yeah, maybe Demandred likes to party. No.
Demandred definitively does not like to party. I've come to the conclusion that Demandred's a huge idiot. Read my blog.
Good for him. I think it's underrated when people are idiots. Like,
He's
I think we
an
need
idiot in a bad way.
Oh, no.
In, like, a narrative plot hole way.
Oh, well, that's
Sad.
Branderson's fault.
Well, it could have been both their faults. I've been trying to exercise some leniency for Brandon Sanderson and be like, I have no idea whether this was done under the instructions of Robert Jordan or if he was just, winging it.
Yeah, we can call them Brandbert.
That's
the collective hive mind.
The Treaty of Brandbert. Sounds like it ended a war. The War of the Roses.
It's the final
countdown?
Yeah, it's the final countdown of the Wheel of Time. That's the collective hive mind that sort of glued it all together was Brandbert.
Yeah. Jorderson.
That's like impossible to say. Jorderson. Jorderson.
That's terrible. It's an abomination, just like Brandbert. So, I forgot what I was even saying. Anyway, about the Forsaken Lightning Party. Rand's like, I don't want to talk to you tonight. Go away. To Asmodean.
It's like, fucking fine.
Asmodean's like, fine. You're not even gonna channel me to keep me in my tent. And Rand's like, listen, buddy, I trust you until the day you betray me, and then I will murder you. And it's like, I mean, I guess that's how I feel about all people.
Yeah, yes.
I trust people until they betray me.
See, I don't trust people until they prove they aren't going to betray me.
Ah, I see.
And then the trust is still thin.
Ah, I forgot what I was saying.
It's that trauma, baby.
It's that trauma, baby.
But yeah, Asmodean's like, okay, fuck you. And Rand's like, fuck you.
And Matt's like, I can hear you guys.
And Matt's like, so we're supposed to pretend we don't know he's Asmodean? What's the deal?
Yeah, come on. Matt's like, I know. I'm not stupid anymore.
I got smart.
I got smart.
In Rude
And Rudine. Rand's like, it's pronounced Rudine. Matt's like, fuck
Rudine.
you. Not in my memories. Rand goes up to his tent. Avienda's like, look, I killed a snake. And Rand, for some reason, is not impressed and horny because of this.
That's what I would. I mean, she, killed it with a knife. It's like a big fucking snake.
Rand's like, it could have bit you. And Avienda's like, snakes could bite all of us at any time, Rand. I'm not special.
Yeah, but he, freaks out because he's like, have some sense of security or value for your own life.
Yeah, he's like, don't be so reckless. And Avienda's like, you're the queen of recklessness. What are you talking about? Bran goes into his tent, and Avienda follows him, and they proceed to have the one and only reasonably amicable chat that they have in their entire relationship, as far as I remember. Avienda gives Rand this wrapped bundle, which turns out to be an extremely ornate, parade sword, practically. Mm-hmm. Although once Rand unsheaths it, he sees that the blade itself is a blade master's, and therefore probably, power wrought, which means it won't rust or break or dull or anything like that. So he's like, oh, good blade. I still will never use it again, because I can make fire from my hands, but thanks, Avienda. So she's like, this will erase the debt between us. And he's like, you can have the sheath back as well as the hilt. And Avienda's like, all right, so I made a huge profit off of it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a charming scene because Rand is like, where'd you even get this? And Avienda's like, oh, it's legitimately Layman's cursed sword that's been just passed from teen to teen.
Yeah.
Well, look what I have.
Yeah.
This fancy sword, but we are not allowed to touch swords.
Yeah.
Avienda's like, Bear said it would be fine if I wrapped it in a bunch of towels first.
Yeah. Bunch of nasty rags.
And Rand's like, you guys are buck wild.
I love them.
What is happening?
Yeah.
So that's very amusing. But Rand's like, thanks. And then they get ready for bed and again proceed to have one of the only scenes in their relationship that I think actually involves some level of sexual tension, in that Rand has his back turned to Avienda and she's changing under her covers for bed, and it's yeah, that is sort of a sexually wrought, a sexually fraught situation to be in if you're attracted to the other person.
They're getting naked. He's there's a part where she's talking and her voice is muffled for a minute and he's like, oh my god, she just took her shirt off. Oh my god. Sexy.
But, one scene of vaguely healthy tension doesn't really erase the millions of other scenes of incredibly unhealthy non-tension.
Yeah.
Or tension in the opposite
Bad
direction.
way. The unsexual tension.
Yeah. The unsexual tension. It's just called not liking each other.
Unsexual tension.
Unsexual tension. Normalize unsexual attention. Unsexual attention. I mean, normalize that too.
Yeah.
Normalize unsexual tension. The third of our running platforms.
Utah will maybe be on board with that.
Maybe
one.
that one, yeah. Just put a
Except
Book of Mormon
Utah's
between
like weirdly horny.
I know.
It's because they're repressed.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But also, it's like, it's okay to not be sexually attracted to anyone. That's fine. Anyway, this is Sex Ed with the HR.
As usual, we always get here eventually.
It's because the Wheel of Time is, like,
So unhealthy.
literally the poster child for what your sexuality should not entail.
Do not do anything that is in the Wheel of Time. It's all gonna be bad. They just have a little convo.
They go sleepy time.
About swords. Rand's like, what does it mean to teach a man how to sing? Avanda is like, are you thinking about Matt? And Rand's like, maybe. And Avanda's like, just means he'll be whipped, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Which is a dumb term anyway.
No, it's like, so what? You like somebody.
A man caring about a woman in a way that is visible to others? Whoa!
It's the worst thing he could
Taboo.
possibly do.
Terrible.
Is legitimately care in a tender way for his female partner.
Yeah. Publicize your feelings for another person. The horror.
Yeah.
God.
Barf.
Yeah.
I just think it's nice when people are tender with each other.
Yeah.
It's this toxic monogamy bullshit where it's like, it's funny when you don't like your partner.
Ugh.
It's like, excuse me?
It's, it's nice when you like your partner.
Yeah. It's nice being around people that you enjoy.
Yeah.
I really don't understand why that's such a difficult concept for society, but...
And for Robert Jordan, specifically, to grasp. As we talked about recently. No one in Wheel of Time likes each other.
It's really weird.
Troubling. I can't remember anything else relevant that happens. So, that's those chapters. The next chapters will involve a brief map point of view when their camp predictably gets attacked.
Yeah.
Someone should ask Matt whether they put up sentries.
Yeah.
Oh, Rand does like a fancy laser system to keep out intruders or something.
Yeah, Dark Friend.
Mad Trollocs, Myrtle, Shadow Spawn. And then I think they go through the pass and get to Kyrie, and is essentially the content of the next two chapters. So we'll be back with that. Do you have any housekeeping before you get to your dinner?
I don't think so. Usual stuff. Emily's still doing her weekly live stream of Wind Waker. As always, our Patreon is up with lots of content on it if you seek more EHR. Otherwise, not really.
Yeah,
just take care. Survive the world that is intent on not surviving.
Yep. I can't. It's terrible.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. This episode has had a lot of Melancholy Culkin in it.
Melancholy Culkin. That's going to be the title of the episode. I think I already know.
But there are so many good ones.
Hashtag.
Brandbert.
Alright, do you have a sign off?
I actually do not have a sign off. Do you have anything?
Ah, dang it, no. I can't.
Should we just get Tybalt and see if he'll scream into the microphone?
I could try.
If not, I can pretend to be Tybalt screaming into the microphone.
Terrible. I'll go get it.
Okay, we're gonna try and get Tybalt to scream into the microphone, but he doesn't usually do things on command.
Tybalt, make some noise. The one time we want you to make noise, and you're like, fuck you.
Meow. You are literally the worst animal.
He's too sleepy.
Yeah, we woke him up from a nap, and now he's just sort of drugged.
Too.
Anyway, don't do war crimes.
Yeah. Have a good week. Goodbye.
Bye.